tackle the afternoon panel. I'm from Save the Children Canada, as Stephanie had introduced to you. Save the Children actually on Tuesday celebrated its 90th birthday. So as an organization, Save the Children has been attempting to provide access to quality education for children in countries around the world for decades. And many of the countries in which we work have been conflict-affected countries. So in 2005, Save the Children decided that it wanted to intensify its work in providing access to quality education for children in conflict-affected countries and launched a campaign that we call Rewrite the Future. And we set fairly ambitious targets for this campaign. We wanted to provide access to education for 3 million children that had not previously been in school. We wanted to improve the quality of education for a further 5 million children, so a total reach of 8 million children. And we set the target of raising $450 million in resources across our Save the Children Alliance to try to support this goal. And we knew that our efforts in this area alone would not be enough, so we also had a goal around trying to advocate with donors, both bilateral and multilateral donors, to try to also raise attention and awareness of this issue. As part of this global campaign for Save the Children, we did establish a global monitoring system to track our progress on these particular targets that we had established. And so we used this system in all the countries in which we were doing program to measure access and to measure the number of children that we were reaching with quality interventions. But it really didn't tell us whether those interventions were successful or not in terms of achieving quality, and it didn't tell us what kind of impact we were having on children. So Save the Children decided to commission, as part of this campaign, a global evaluation of its work, and we hired an external consultant to do this for us. There are 2 phases to the evaluation, so it's an ongoing evaluation at the moment. There was a midterm evaluation that was conducted in 2008, and there will be a final evaluation that's conducted in 2010. So the results of that will come next year. So I wanted to present to you today some of the findings that we've been able to generate from the midterm evaluation. So these were the 2 questions that we had posed for the evaluation. The first one was, how has Save the Children's project level interventions contributed to quality primary education? So for us, this was more of a process question. How have we been making contributions to quality primary education? And the second question is, which project level interventions had what impact on education quality? And that's the midterm evaluation has addressed more of the first question, and the final evaluation in 2010 will address more of the second question. We also decided to focus in on 4 countries for the evaluation. So we focused in on Nepal and Afghanistan, Angola, and Southern Sudan for the purposes of the evaluation. And because we do a wide range of interventions in each of those countries, in order to be able to kind of understand a package of interventions more in depth, we decided to focus on kind of a core intervention in each of those countries. So in Nepal, we focused on schools as zones of peace. In Afghanistan, we focused on our work around child and parent participation. In Southern Sudan, we focused on teacher training. In Angola, we focused on the issue of teacher professionalism. So, I don't know how to get rid of that exactly, but what's that? Click somewhere else. It just keeps moving around. Okay, so this was just some of the some key elements of the methodology that was used in the evaluation. The external consultant that was hired to develop some of tools for the evaluation, but there was also a component of working in country to design the evaluation in a more participatory way. Some of the informants for the evaluation were students, child clubs, teachers, parent-teacher associations. The data collection methodologies that were used in this evaluation included focus groups, lesson observations that were tracked through an observation chart, interviews, some secondary data. And we sampled 6 schools per district, 3 to 5 districts per country. So the evaluation covered a total of 56 project schools, 20 comparison schools, and 34 alternative learning programs. So I'll just very briefly highlight on what the intervention was in each particular country. We tried to find an intervention that we considered either innovative or effective, and that addressed a key issue around the quality of education in that country. So in Nepal, the focus was school as zones of peace. This just describes a little bit, Save the Children's intervention in that area. We worked with children's clubs in the school. We also worked with village child protection committees and school management committees. The idea was to bring together community members and political groups and to try and develop and agree on a participatory code of conduct for those schools. So the code of conduct mentioned things like, no armed activities in schools, no political meetings, no recruitment of children, as well as some of the things that you would more expect to find in a code of conduct, like no corporal punishment, no smoking, those kind of things. In Afghanistan, the focus was on adult and child participation. And Save the Children's interventions in this area were threefold. We tried to support children's participation in the school itself by forming student councils, encouraging student representation in parent-teacher associations, which then became called parent-teacher student associations, having children get engaged in doing their own education survey. We tried to enhance children's participation in learning, partly through training in participatory or child-centered teaching methodologies, but also engaging children in doing a child-to-child health education program where they receive training and then they in turn pass that training on to their peers. And we also did work on on encouraging parents' participation in school management committees. And in Angola, the focus was on supporting teacher professionalism. And this very confusing slide tries to capture the way in which we worked. We were partnering with the Provincial Department of Education in Angola. We worked very strongly with supervisors to try to support them in working with teachers, so providing training, providing support for transportation and materials to supervisors. We worked with those supervisors to work with and support teachers as well. And some of that support was in terms of lesson planning and developing kind of a teacher-peer process within the schools, and also working with school directors to encourage school management, different school management practices. And then in Southern Sudan, the focus was on teacher training. And in that program, there was a 3-year, that's what the phased training means, it was a 3-year training program that was delivered during the school break. So during a 3-month period, teachers would come to a residential program and participate in a training that Save the Children delivered, and they did that once a year for 3 years. There was an emphasis on getting women into teaching, and there was also an emphasis on training for accelerated learning program. So I just wanted to now take you through a few of the findings that we have found from that evaluation. So in terms of teacher training, in all of the programs, Save the Children had supported teacher training, but we were looking particularly at Southern Sudan, and in the target areas that we were reviewing for the evaluation, Save the Children had provided 73% of the teacher training in that target area. Most of the teachers that Save the Children trained were primary school leavers, but they did score significantly higher than untrained teachers with secondary education through the lesson observation exercise. That was the case